Thank you.
Mm.
Paralyzed. Waiting for YouTube Live. It says we're live. I'm live. We're live, people, here at the Mark It Down podcast tonight after Survivor Series War Games from WWE. I'm James Gisanti. This is Danny Beautiful Man Hernandez. Yes, it wasn't creative, but it's true, so I don't need to say much more. We are here at the Mark It Down podcast watching what I thought was a great show. Danny, before we get into the weeds of it, what did you think of the show tonight?
I thought it couldn't have been a more perfect length of time. So
I will take that. You know what? We like to be positive here at the Mark It Down podcast. We like to celebrate even the small victories, such as a show that ends before midnight. Thank you, WWE. Thank you. So because we are all about speed and efficiency, we're just going to get right into it now. The show started with a War Games match, women's edition. We had Team Bianca Belair, which was surprisingly led by Bianca Belair, and Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and Becky Lynch, the returning Becky Lynch, taking on Team Hugger. Which was Damage Control / Bailey and the Huggers, which is Dakota Kai and Io Sky, and Nikki Cross, no superhero stuff here, and Rhea Daddy Ripley. I thought this match was pretty good. I thought it was fun. It's the first War Games match on the main roster in WWE history, and the women did it. The women started it. So for a whole new audience of fans that don't watch NXT or aren't familiar with wrestling history, this is their first exposure to War Games. I thought that was a bold plan. I thought that was a bold move. I liked it, and I think the women did a good job. Team Bianca is victorious in the end, with Becky Lynch diving off the top of the cage with a leg drop? It was a diving leg drop through two tables, taking out Damage Control, while Bianca Belair took out Bailey. I thought this was a nice match, some nice spots, and my big thing that I really enjoyed about it was almost all the players involved had a reason to be in this match, not just they were thrown in. Like, yes, you could say Rhea Ripley and Mia Yim were thrown in, but at least their feud felt important enough to be a part of this match. Damage Control versus Bianca and Becky, its own feud, separate from anything else. It's the main feud for the women, but they deserve the spotlight, as is the history between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Danny, what did you think of the show?
Of the show, I mean,
of the match,
perfect length. But for the match, I thought I'm a little / a lot biased, but I thought this match was really good and delivered on all fronts. Sure, you can say there was maybe one or two sloppy spots early on. I forgot. I can't even remember the examples because I'm just remembering all the good bits I liked about the match. But like there was a couple of times, Alexa botching that electric chair where she fell
right through the garbage can.
Yeah, and even that, like even the sound was like that was unfortunate. But like, okay, cool. But you know what? That spot was surrounded by logic. It was a nice little, it wasn't a payoff to them interacting. I think that's just the beginning, which Alexa needs something to do. Nikki needs some direction if her character is going to change, and she's clearly not going for the title because she lost to Bianca cleanly in her first match back. But, well, relatively cleanly.
Yeah.
But that was a nice little character match. Like you said, everyone had something to do. Everyone was, except for Asuka. Asuka was the only person who was kind of the oddball. Even she had her moments early on, coming in her second, having the stare off with Io that got a decent pop from a crowd that was mixed all night. Even they recognized, Io and Asuka is something to take note of. It is somewhat special, so they got into that. But I liked a lot how and I don't want to just get into my bias and talk about how great Becky is, but I'm gonna do that real quick because when she came to the match, the environment changed. The crowd popped big for her. The crowd popped biggest for her and Bianca's entrance by far in this match. And when Becky came in, she looked strong, but then she put people out. She was hit with finishers relatively cleanly, making Rhea and Bayley look stronger. She had all of her moments after that too made sense. Her interaction with Asuka, where they almost bumped heads and they kind of caught each other and then staring at each other like, we feuded for like half of this year. And then the camera barely caught it and the announcers botched it badly, but Rhea went for a boot. Becky pulled Asuka because she was already holding her arm because they caught each other from hitting each other. She pulled her out of the way, allowing them to take advantage. And then they teamed up on her so that Asuka could hit with the miss and they could take Rhea out of the match. That's a very nice moment. The announcers, because as much as they are better without Vince screaming in their ear, still miss a fair amount of stuff. And that was one of those kind of moments, but I won't be too harsh on them for that. But then, she had the interactions. She had the stare down Rhea before that. She had the interaction, the stare down with Bayley. And then her and Bianca teaming up at the end, the way one person would not be able to hit their finisher and the other one would hit it. The way and having the stare down where they got to their feet at the same time as Damage Control, which is how this all started, and where the story was originally always going. So to have it end like that, since we didn't get all of that because Becky was injured, was a really, really nice moment that I think, put a nice little bow on this feud that might have been dragged out a little bit too long while we waited for Becky to get back. And I think this just had so many good moments. And then Mia and Rhea cancel each other out at the end. Alexa and Nikki cancel each other out. That's why I say Asuka was the odd person out, because she just got taken out by like Rhea, who she has no beef or interactions with really.
I'd say her story was really with Io, because they really played on the history between the two women. They did comment on it through commentary. It could have been played up better, I think, but I'd say that's her one counterpart.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to spin off into a feud.
Yeah,
they already feuded.
Yeah.
But that being said, the promo between the two of them when they're speaking Japanese together is the funniest fucking thing. Watch the version of it. It's so good. But I thought that the way the last 5-10 minutes of this match really hit all the story beats it needed to.
Absolutely.
In the high spots. Io hit the moonsault, Nikki hit a crossbody, Becky hit the leg drop. Like all the spots worked. I like that Dakota started the match. I think
Me too.
She really needed that. I think she looked good in this match, even though she took the pin. I think she looked really good in this match. And it all logically made sense that it looked good on Bianca that she would start and it was just logically from a booking standpoint, her or Becky had to start and the other one had to come in last.
Yeah.
Make your champion go in first and fight through it. I think that looks good. And then save the return and star for last. That makes perfect sense. I think it was very telling that Rhea came out last for her team and not Bayley. So see who's really in charge there. So I actually was a big fan of that. And
I also loved it because it minimized the amount of time Bianca and Rhea interacted. Because I think that's what we're all building towards, right? We're building towards Rhea versus Bianca at some point. And the less they interact now, the bigger it'll feel when they finally do.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a quick shout out to the comments. Eric, cool. I mean, you can fall asleep watching any wrestling show nowadays. We're overstimulated with wrestling, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with this match besides a few sloppy spots here or there. But logically, the match almost made perfect sense. And that doesn't mean it was a perfect match. It just mean there was not many faults within the booking of the match. Just because spots didn't go according to plan, booking-wise, I have no faults with this whatsoever. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm happy Becky picked up the win, but I think that's good. You have the return and star pick up the win, especially because I think we're going to start branching off, like you said, in the Bianca Rhea and Becky Ronda, over on SmackDown. So big fan of this. Shout out to everyone in this match. Everyone took a beating, took some good spots. And yeah, I was hyped to see. I'm surprised Bianca didn't have a big crazy spot, but being the person that's running the gauntlet is enough. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
fine. I don't think anyone looked bad coming out of this, and that's a hard thing to do. I'd say the person that looked the weakest was like Mia, but that's because you could see it in that she's the only person that didn't get a pop.
Yeah, it's true. They really threw her into the fire. One with this feud, two with this match. I think she'll get there eventually, but the fans haven't had a reason to care yet, other than just who she's associated with. She did have some nice spots, but I agree. Personally, I think the weakest person coming out of this was Alexa. She didn't really have any big moment other than the one or two that she botched. But
yeah, see, that's the thing is I don't want to start hatred towards Alexa Bliss, but
because of her fans being so terrifying.
Yeah, even though I'll fight any one of you, don't scare me. But I don't know, man. This run hasn't been it. I don't think it's her fault, but she also looks like she's just not into it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I could be wrong about that, but
it feels like they're killing time until they pair her up with Bray again.
Which, I think a lot of people don't want. So I don't know how well it's gonna go, but at least fans still care about Bliss. She still gets a pop. So, but Mia was the only one I'm like, I don't think she'll ever get there. She'll never be on any of these girls' levels. And that's not her fault necessarily. It's just unfortunate. She's not a rookie. So if she was a rookie instead of her, I think it works better. If you had Raquel in the spot, I think it works way better.
Yeah.
But
I mean, come on, man. That belongs to Aaliyah.
Or
Dana Brooke.
I swear to God, Dana Brooke would have worked better than me again. Some crowds pop for Dana Brooke
They really do. They really do.
She's been there long enough where people just pop for her because she's been there for so long. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a solid War Games match, a solid start to the pay-per-view, and like you said earlier, a really good move to give this to the women to have the first main roster of War Games. And let's be real here, they're just going to start calling it the first War Games and start pretending the NXT ones didn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. Those were the warm-ups. Those were absolutely the warm-ups. But anyway, good showing from the women. And we move on to our first singles match of the night. Bullet Club, OC, Judgment Day, The Elite. I don't know what they are, but it's AJ Styles with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson taking on Finn Balor with Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio. For some reason, both men came out wearing masks. For some reason, their accompaniment, their managers got taken out really, really early in the show. I don't quite understand a lot of the decisions, including the finish, which saw AJ Styles defeating Finn Balor. I'm just so glad he didn't make Finn tap. I thought it was a strong match. I thought it was a good match. We've only seen these two go one-on-one once before. This was years ago, and it wasn't even supposed to happen. So now we have AJ and Finn Balor 1-1. And I liked it, but Finn needed the win more than AJ. What did you think, Danny?
I agree in general that Finn needed the win more, but did he? In the short term, no, because the Judgment Day have won the whole feud so far.
That's true. That is true.
So, the OC needed at least one more win. I think that they'll have a 4-4 match like they should have had tonight at Survivor Series.
Yep.
But I think they'll have that in a couple weeks, and the Judgment Day will win. And that's when they'll move on to returning Edge and Beth Phoenix, because I still think that's happening.
It has to. They set it up to, it's too perfect not to do. Even if they don't do Finn and Rhea versus Edge and Beth, it just needs to be Rhea versus Beth at some point, right?
Yeah, give her that fucking win. Beth can still go better than 90% of the roster, and beating her will be a big deal. She's only wrestled tag matches basically, and since the few times she's returned, but that'll be a big deal. That's a big win for Rhea. it's clearly a person that Rhea looks up to. You do it. It just makes perfect sense. You do it. You give Rhea the win, and she wins the Rumble or wins the Chamber. Either way, because Rhea dominating this version of Rhea dominating an Elimination Chamber match sounds great to me.
I agree completely.
Yeah, the match itself, good stuff. The ending, whatever. I do think Finn should have won. I could just see the justification for AJ winning because they haven't won anything in this feud.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have had Judgment Day lose to the Brawling Brutes on Monday if this was going to be the outcome. Because that feels a little bit like the old Judgment Day where they lost all the time. So
yeah. We keep hearing report after report that Judgment Day is going to see a turnaround. Finn Balor is going to see a turnaround with Triple H. And they definitely feel more important than they did when they first started. But, man, a win would not hurt. I got to say, I love the spot of Finn countering the calf crusher. Because that's usually reserved for the big men. Like Brock did it to AJ when he did it. Another big guy did it to him too, and just to see Joe,
yeah,
to see Finn do it and just be smart enough to do it and to be vicious enough to do it, I loved it. I love heel Finn. Heel Finn with all the swagger is just perfect. Him going for the Styles Clash was chef's kiss, just beautiful. Great match between these two. I hope to see the feud continue. And I think you're right. I think it will. Moving on.
I love Finn's. Well, just because of how much.
No, go ahead, please. Keep going.
I like when after he beat Edge in the I Quit match, he was like Finn Balor don't quit. Finn Balor don't quit. Like it was just funny. The shit he says, I'm like, a lot of it's corny, but the accent makes it funny. It's like he had a swag to it where it's like he gets away with this because he's not like a white he's not an Irish American, like
it's true.
Like he can get away with saying stuff that 40-year-old white man shouldn't say. But
I will forever have Finn Balor, formerly known as Prince Devitt or Prince Devitt, saying Captain fucking New Japan. I will never get that out of my head, and I hope that. Thank you. Right, I love it, and I've perfected it as best as I can. But just so I don't embarrass myself further, we'll go to what was a match. It certainly existed in the show. It certainly was a championship match, and it certainly was another showing for the women, kinda. We had Shotzi, no last name, redacted, taking on the SmackDown Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey, for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was absolutely one of those instances where just having a pay-per-view match should feel like the win. And that is the only win Shotzi got tonight because Ronda Rousey beat her up and made her tap out. Not a lot to say about the match. They really did try to play on the emotions with Shotzi, her dedicating this match to both her father and her stepfather, who respectively passed away this year and last year. I like Shotzi. I do. I think she has a lot of potential, and I do see the turnaround on her, which I'm happy about. But yeah, this was just to get Ronda on the card, wasn't it?
Yeah. So just so you guys know, I want to be very clear too. I'm playing Pokemon right now. I've been for the past couple of anything on this show because it's a new game and I have a problem. But I will be a lot kinder to this match than I think anyone will be. Now, see, right off the bat, I'll say the problem is that obviously no one believed Shotzi was going to win this match, and there was nothing you could do to change that.
Absolutely.
But you can, if you had built Shotzi up more before she became number one contender, even though people still wouldn't thought she was going to win, they would just been more accepting of the match and willing to play along and suspend their disbelief. But Shotzi hadn't won a match in like 6 months, a singles match on TV before she won the number one contenders match. So no one's going to buy her. And she also was a heel and randomly turned face for no reason.
Yep.
So again, that's a little jarring. otherwise, when Shotzi was a team with Tegan Knox and they were coming out, they weren't like the most over thing on the show, but they were over. She got a babyface reaction. And if you didn't take that away for no reason, and I know that was a Vince thing, but still, like it's, it damaged her. And you can't just launch her up the card to fix that. It's a slow burn, but this is one of the few, this is a case of Triple H not wanting to wait and just saying, fuck it, we need to fill our opponent. But all that aside, I thought Shotzi did as well as possible with this match. And I think this is the best she's looked the whole time on the main roster, and partially in NXT, because she was never like the best worker from what I vaguely remember. But, she has just some naturally likable qualities, tattoos, dyed hair, fishnets, tank, that sort of thing. So she has that factor. It's been damaged so much that it's hard to rebuild. It's not as natural as it could be. But I thought the match did a lot for her. This is the best she's ever looked, and it's probably the best she's going to look for a long time. But they gave her a lot. They let her take out Shayna a couple times. She looked really good where she was handling both of them when it's, two former Mama fighters, as I think it's pronounced.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I won't hear otherwise. But, she looked good, and I just think it's the best she's going to look, so I want to highlight it as more of a positive.
That's fair. No, I like that outlook. I do like that outlook.
Just shit on it. And for a filler match, the Ronda, and I'll give credit to Ronda too. She gave Shotzi a lot when she could have squashed her here.
As much as I think we've all soured on Ronda, one of the things I will always give her is she does make her opponents look good. She does give them that chance to look good. And this is the only comparison to Brock Lesnar I'll make, because I think they're, oh my God, so far apart.
I would say that Ronda, I'm sorry, you sound like you still had a point to make before. Mine's a little bit of a pivot, but.
No, you're good. I'll just finish by saying they both look like dominant champions who give you that split second of, oh my God, is this it? Are they going to lose? We know a little bit better now. We're more educated, but at the same time, they do sometimes, Brock more so than Ronda, give us that moment of, oh my God, this is it.
Brock is the absolute best at it. Maybe ever, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've ever fully soured on Ronda. As the fans have at some points, but like a lot of that was just, hey, you're not Becky Lynch, so
yeah, absolutely.
Boo, you suck. And then, don't get me wrong, as a person, she doesn't seem like the best. But as a wrestler, well, no, actually, I'm kind of already walking that back because she's a baby. Like, she can't handle if you can't handle being booed, like, or the criticism, and I get it from a perspective of like, they were all loving me and cheering me and there was no problems. I didn't do anything, nothing changed, and all of a sudden they don't like me anymore. I get being bitter about that, but you got to remove yourself from the situation and try to look at it from an outside perspective to understand it, But other than that, like, I've never actually been sick of seeing Ronda.
I agree.
Not loved her as a person,
Yeah.
But like as an on-screen character, besides going into this past WrestleMania with Charlotte, that's the only time where I'm like, but again, that's more of a Charlotte thing than a Ronda thing, where I was like, oh, this is a waste of Ronda Rousey. And then it turned out the match was terrible. And, I was right the whole time. But
I would genuinely love it if they manage, come WrestleMania, she loses the title to Becky, then she and Shayna take the tag titles and they just go on a tear.
And then Sasha and Naomi come back and they squash them.
What a world. It's fun to dream, folks. It's fun to believe in something. And I'm not even saying it in a sarcastic way, but man, I would love it.
Yeah,
I would love it.
I would love it too. Or they could even do like a best of 7 series, and then Ronda and Shayna could just win in 4 matches.
Who bites who?
Ronda bites for sure. Or no,
Yeah.
Shayna bites, obviously. Shayna
Yeah.
bites. Yeah,
Yeah. She
she done
definitely
it. She has
feels
a
like a
track
biter.
record.
All
Which
right.
again, this is a very, very tangential, but I remember people freaking out over her biting Becky Lynch for the like start of the feud. I'm like, what's the big deal?
It
Bro? Like,
really
she did it
wasn't.
one time and she made like 3 puns about it, which if you bite someone, yeah, make some fucking puns
Exactly.
about it.
Go to town. Go to
Yeah,
town with them.
it wasn't
I
that bad.
agree.
It wasn't that bad. And then I love Becky's off camera. But did that bitch bite me? Like anyway, like good for Shotzi. We talked about this match about as long as it went on for a few
Yep,
minutes.
absolutely. I'm afraid if it goes on any longer, Ronda might actually see it and get mad at us. So let's move on. Into probably the most divisive match you and I are going to discuss tonight, the triple threat for the United States Championship, where champion Seth Rollins defended his belt against Bobby Lashley and A-Town Austin Theory. I will say, first and foremost, I think this was the best match of the night that wasn't a War Games match. Didn't have a lot of competition, but it was a great match. Man, whatever, we'll get to the ending in a second, but I think all three men with their different styles brought a lot to this match. It was exciting from bell to bell, and we've seen some things that I don't think I've ever seen before in a wrestling match. So as far as I'm concerned, this was a win for all three men involved, and I loved it. What did you think?
Can I talk about the finish? Or
all right, let me say the finish then for everybody. I should have said it already. Austin Theory is now a two-time United States champion, having pinned Bobby Lashley after pinning Seth Rollins after Bobby Lashley spears Seth Rollins while Seth has Austin in a suplex position. Theory falls on Rollins, gets the accidental 1, 2, 3, and that is how we get our new champion. Just a quick history lesson on the United States Championship. It's going back. We are now Austin Theory to Seth Rollins to Bobby Lashley to Austin Theory's first run with the U.S. title. So really, all of this was for nothing. None of this mattered.
Yep, I agree. None of
Go
this
for it now.
This was dumb. Maybe the match was good. I'm not gonna lie. I was doing some raids with my friends, so this match probably got the least of my attention out of the whole show.
I would say, despite the finish and you not liking Theory, I would try to go back and watch it again, or at the very least catch the highlights. We had I don't even know how to describe it. We had a curb stomp where Seth jumped off of the body of Theory onto Bobby's head. Like, he used Theory as like a launching pad for the curb stomp, which was amazing. We had Bobby, who is a trained MMA fighter, somehow try to apply the Hurt Lock, which is a full Nelson onto both men at the same time, which, let me tell you guys, is a bad idea. Did I pop? Absolutely. But it's a bad, silly, dumb idea. We had guys bouncing out of the ring. We had spears. We had Bobby and Seth teaming up just because Theory is so fucking annoying in all the right ways. Danny will disagree, but this was a really fun match.
Why do you think I hate Theory?
I might be projecting a little bit. That might be on me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't think Theory's bad. I just think the company would go under if he was the face of it. That's
all. Oh yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad.
That's fine. A lot of people. Hey, I was just praising Shotzi, but the company would go under if she was the face of it. You know, it's not.
What if she was the hair of it?
It would be all right. You know, she's up there. You know, she's it's died, so that's a plus. If that's, I'm sorry, I have a bias towards that, but I just think the ending was dumb because. Well, one, the fall was like, whatever. It wasn't the most natural. But that aside, I can not give a shit about that. it makes the cash in dumb. And like I know the counter argument is going to be, oh no, well it changed his character and it motivated him. And I was like, cool, but you know what? A year from now, when he's not U.S. champion, but we're at Money in the Bank time or whenever, and they replay Money in the Bank, they're gonna replay his stupid cash in and his loss over and over, and no one's gonna remember this U.S. title win or this run. And
that's premature.
No, it's not. What U.S. title run has been memorable? Seth is. We're gonna forget this one. I can name a bunch of the past champions of recent history. All the runs were not memorable at all. Ricochet was a United States champion like 2 years ago, or probably 3 or 4 years ago at this point. But that run wasn't memorable. AJ held it a couple times. None of those were memorable. I just remember it happening because I watched and I have a decent memory. But these reigns aren't memorable.
So, it's making me upset that I'm literally looking at the list of these guys, and
it's been pretty much since John Cena. But you know,
oof.
The reign will never live on, but the cash-in will, and the cash-in made him look really dumb. And because especially if you're gonna do something unique and try to make it look cool and smart of him cashing on the U.S. title, because you know what, his promo where he was showing his logic and reason, it
made a lot of sense.
Won me over. I was like, yeah, you know what, I see your point of view, but then he lost. Like, you lost cashing in on a joke of a title that had an open challenge. You could have accepted the open challenge. And then he just won the title then the very next chance he got. So, like, what character development? It's all gone. It was a week long, and now it's gone. Because he's probably going to come out of Raw and be cocky as shit and just be the same guy, and nothing's changed. And maybe it will change, but I just think you could have just had him cash it. I think that him cashing in, because that, like I said, the cash-in will live on. So if he just cashes in and succeeds, that just looks better. And then it's more memorable. Because you know what would make the title reign memorable? The fact that it was the only time the mid-card title was cashed in on and won. And now
I actually agree with you. You're very right. You are very right about that. I will throw another criticism into the ring. How much better would this have been if it was a fatal 4-way with Mustafa Ali?
Yep. I mean, then Mustafa Ali would have taken the pin. I think pinning Seth was really dumb because he's your biggest babyface on fucking Raw, or the show that has like no stars, especially if Becky's going to SmackDown. Like, you have no one except you have Seth and you have Bobby, and Bobby is a really dumb character right now. I'm so sorry. Like, the crowd still loves him, but like his character is like genuinely dumb because again, he accepted an open challenge, threw it away, and then was like, I didn't get my match last week. Like an idiot. He is so dumb right now. The fact that fans are still cheering him makes me think they're dumb.
Well, now to go on to that, because internally, Seth is listed as a heel, I think, still.
Tell that to everyone, even the way he's been wrestling face the past 2 weeks.
No, I agree. It's very weird. I think they need a click. All right. I'm stepping over myself because I'm very confused by the situation. But I will say, I don't need all my baby faces to be white meat baby faces who are good guys in the traditional sense. I like three-dimensional characters, and I think Seth as a babyface with this character can be very interesting. I just think they need to do a better job of defining the fact that he is a babyface and what Bobby is now, because again, by all intents and purposes, Bobby should be a heel. For what he did to Ali alone, that makes him a heel, but the crowd is cheering him. He's still playing into it a little bit. I think the thing that's been making this confusing is how easy it is to hate Austin Theory, and they both are just going after Theory. I think once they separate themselves from Theory, it'll be easier to identify who's who and who's what.
True, but also with Lashley, it doesn't help that Ali isn't getting over, which, you know, when you beat a guy over and over again without already having a connection, because they think the Daniel Bryan thing worked by their design and not because of us. So they think, oh, we want to get this guy over as a babyface. Let's just beat him over and over and over again. And the crowd will eventually get so fed up and support him. But it's like, we've been the support was already there. The support already has to be there for that to work. And Ali didn't have any of it because he was gone for months. And when he wasn't, he was the leader of the worst faction in recent memory. But it's all stupid and sad, and I just think it's a step down. Seth just won the title. He's your top guy he's your second biggest guy in the company behind Roman. Like, he's bigger than Drew, he's bigger than KO. Like, just let him run. Why wouldn't you keep the title? I just see no reason. I'm not as much against putting the title in Theory. I'm just more against taking it off Seth and putting it on Theory so soon.
I agree. Considering there is no world champion on Raw, essentially, it sucks that the highest title feels like it belongs to Seth and they didn't capitalize as well as they could have. So yeah. I'm with you there. But moving on, I think, if you agree, to what was a highlight of the show and what was the main event of Survivor Series War Games, the men's War Games match between the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, the Usos, and honorary Us, Sami Zayn, against the Brawling Brutes, which is Sheamus, Butch, not Matt Riddle, Ridge Holland, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens. Can you believe that we're in a timeline where Ridge Holland is in the main event and Matt Riddle isn't even on the card?
Nope. I didn't even think about that, but now that you said that, that's
I don't want to be sour on Ridge Holland because I like the Brawling Brutes as a group. I think he's just very green and he needs more time. But man, Matt Riddle being as hot as he was 6 months ago to not even being in the show today, it's a tough pill to swallow. But anyway, the show was littered with little segments with the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, sitting in his locker room, being confronted at first by Jey Uso, who tells Roman that Sami lied to him last night, that he confronted him about Sami's conversation with Kevin, and Sami denied it happening. When Roman calls Sami in, Sami comes clean. He says, yeah, I had that conversation, but I didn't want to tell Jey because I didn't want to complicate things before our match. Roman seems to believe him, gives him a hug. Jey comes back later. He says, so did he fess up? How do you feel about it? And Roman says, I looked him right in the eyes and I figured out everything I needed to know. We go into the match. The match starts. Now, this is interesting because the baby faces had the advantage in this match. And I think at this point, we're all smart enough to know if you go into this match with the advantage, you're probably going to lose. It's what happened with the women earlier in the night. Here, same thing. If you have the advantage, you're probably going to lose. And that's what happened. The Bloodline won. We're going to get to all the details soon. But we started with Jey Uso versus Butch. So in case I fucked that up, which I think I did, the good guys, the Brawling Brutes, had the advantage, not the Bloodline. Butch and Jey go at it. And it was nice to see Jey having some singles spots again. I was reminded of how this whole Bloodline thing started, which was Jey challenging Roman for the title and how hot Jey was getting as a singles participant while Jimmy was gone. So it was a nice little reminder. Butch is then joined by, who was it? Was it Ridge Holland or Drew?
Yes. No, it was Ridge.
Yeah, he's joined by Ridge Holland. They have the advantage for a while. And then instead of Jimmy Uso, it's Sami Zayn. Because what the fuck? But Sami continued to show his loyalty to the Bloodline, protecting Jey throughout the match, saving him from spots, saving him from getting pushed into the cage, saving him from getting hit. He kept telling him, I got you. I got you. He's showing his loyalty to the group. Coming out next, we do have, this time, Drew McIntyre. No, it was Kevin, wasn't it?
No, it was Drew.
It was Drew. See, I just kept, I was one person off. And you said you didn't take notes on this show. Look at you.
I wasn't in this match, though. I just was paying attention.
I will take it. Drew looking like a star once again. He came in like a beast. He came in looking dominant. I really wish that they just did something with this guy, but whatever. I will just settle for Drew versus Gunther at WrestleMania. I enjoyed the back and forth. I enjoyed seeing Drew looking strong. Outcomes this time, Jim Uso. Am I right? I'm right, right?
Yeah.
There you go. We have some tension, Jay, despite Sammy protecting him, saving him a few times, still just confronting Sammy, not wanting anything to do with him. Jimmy getting in the middle. We then have Kevin come out, and that was fun. One, I love the fact that they saved Sheamus for last. It recognizes the fact that this was Team Sheamus, and at the same time,
I don't like that, but okay.
You don't like it. Oh, all right. I want to hear about that. Because Kevin, throughout the build for this, since he was announced, he was classified as the game changer. He was classified as the person who would change the tide of the war. And, they didn't want to save him for last. They wanted to save him. They wanted to get him in there with Sammy. And they had their interaction. They had their back and forth. We'll get, into the big meaty stuff later as we get to the main event, the finish of the match. But, they're going back and forth, and then out comes Solo. Yep. See, I'm getting it, man. Solo Sikoa, again, I got to say the biggest thing that this match did right, every person in this match felt like a star.
Except Ridge Holland, but yeah.
John?
Ridge Holland.
All right. Ridge Holland, again, similar to Shotzi, the win was being in the match. I think if anybody really just did nothing, it was Jimmy Uso. But
yeah.
But we'll take that. And then out comes Sheamus. Sheamus coming in, looking beastly, looking pale, brightening up my screen. And then finally, Roman Reigns, who just slowly, like the video game boss that he is, just walks out slowly to that ring. And it's Bloodline on one side, Brawling Brutes, etc. on the other. I did a lot of recap, not a lot of justice. There was a lot of weapons involved. There was a lot of fighting involved. I feel like I'm losing my train of thought, so I'm going to ask you to take over for a second.
Sure. So towards the end of this match, there was a lot of fun stuff. Of course, Roman's going to hit some spears. That's his thing. But I liked, they had everyone do the Sheamus 10 beats the Bowery spot.
Best spot of the match.
Very, very cool. I disagree, but I understand that was a very, very, very cool spot. But we came down to a point where it was just Owens and Reigns, and I was into it. The crowd was into it, and this is also why I think Owens should have been the last person out, because he's the same thing as the logic as women's match. He's the returning star, and I think I don't know. It's just when you have Sheamus and Drew in there, I don't think Sheamus can be the last person out. But character-wise, it wouldn't make sense. Like even logically, kayfabe-wise, it's like if you're gonna send in the tag team of the faction, then Sheamus should go in third because they're a group, and that's their best. Logically, that's the best way to operate. But I'm gonna interrupt myself real quick to say to Naz. Raw just had some good matches, and they're not all winners, but she's had a good enough amount where I don't think you could say that she's garbage. I think she's had a decent amount of good matches. But anyway, when it came down to Roman and Kevin, they had a nice little brawl back and forth, and Owens got the better of Reigns, which got the crowd up into a frenzy because this crowd was mid for the middle of the show, but they were pretty good for the War Games matches. They were super, super into this. And who made the save but Samuel Uso himself? Very important note, Sami Zayn did not break up the pin the traditional way. He did not jump onto Kevin and hit him to break up the pin. He caught the referee's arm, which Arguably, it takes more time because they got to be a little more precise with that.
Yep.
But it was very nice, and he stared. The look on his face. Sammy sold this perfectly. You could see all the conflict on his face. You couldn't see his face beforehand, so you couldn't see him the wheel spinning and him really thinking about it. But that look afterwards said it all, and it came down to him and Kevin. And
let's also add that there was a bit before where Jey Uso super kicks Sammy, taking him out, and he showed no remorse when he did it.
Yep, Jimmy did. That's all Jimmy did in this match. But they, he fought. He ended up fighting with Kevin after they mouthed some words like, "This is your family. These are your guys. These are your boys." And Sammy hit him with a low blow. And he was conflicted. He didn't want to do it. And importantly, he looked down at Roman, who was starting to, get up a little bit. Roman gave him the nod. Sammy knew what he had to do. And he ran and he hit Kevin Owens with the haluva kick. And then they did my favorite spot between them where he hits the haluva kick and catches his fucking lifeless body.
Yep.
And they can do it all the time. I will never get sick of it.
Yep.
It's beautiful. I love it. There's so much weight behind it. It's unbelievable.
I don't want to derail because you're doing great. To me, it's as its own level, its own equal to like how Rock sells Austin Stunners, how Kevin sells Sammy's haluva kick is like, it's the perfect sell.
Yeah, it is perfect. I can't think of a seller like more than that. But he hits it. He's holding him. But this time, Jay is starting to stir, and he's like leaning against the ropes, and Sammy just looks at him. Keep in mind what you brought up earlier, that Jay super kicked him. Sammy was the bigger man, and after being questioned all night, after Jay was the one trying to tell Roman that he was going to betray them because he heard him talking to Kevin, after all the shit that Jay has done to Sammy and all the distrust he has had towards Sammy, he lets him drop in a fuck you defiant sort of way. Like, here, he's yours. He lays Kevin out, lets Jay hit the splash for the win. It sucks that Kevin Owens got pinned in this match, but it was it was the perfect move for the story they were telling.
Exactly.
And, I don't know if I would have because for a winner of the Bloodline going to lose, this was a way for them to lose without anyone losing titles. Like, how are they ever going to lose?
I know.
I guess they're not going to lose any matches between now and Mania, besides, singles matches for the underlings, for the group. But I thought this was a beautiful finish. Even if it's not the finish I would go with. Now that it's hard to think of a better one when they did this so well. I just think, man, it would have been nice for Kevin Owens and Drew to get some wins over Reigns, even without having to pin him,
I got to give you I don't know if it's a hot take or not. I kind of don't want Sammy to leave the Bloodline. Like, not for the feels of it all, but just because they've done such a beautiful job of setting up him earning his spot in that group. That fuck it. I don't need him and Kevin to go for the tag titles. They could do it eventually. It doesn't need to be now. Just let him be part of the family. Well, I mean, by now I meant like here in this, because we're in November. Mania is 4 months away?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I want him gone in 4 months, man. Like, they've done such a beautiful job. Like, I never thought when Owen Hart was in the Nation of Domination, when is he going to join? When is he going to realize he's not with them? Just, he was part of the group. There's a part of me that just wants it to be. Just let it be.
True. Nas, it's another pay-per-view with no title defense, but this is one of the few times I'll make an exception because it was story driven. Like, I think it's okay to have it but there's going to be pay-per-views. Like, there's no day one, well, technically next year, but there's no day one of January like there was supposed to be. And I guarantee Reigns wouldn't have been on that show at all otherwise. That's the problem. Those are the pay-per-views where I have a problem with the champ not being there. But I know this was TV, but Mox was in Blood and Guts. If they did that at a pay-per-view, I personally wouldn't have been like pissed at it, but I understand people would have been, especially because not the best example actually, because AEW only has 4 to 5 pay-per-views a year, but they're all 14 hours long, so like it balances out. But I would have really liked the faces. I really would have liked Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre to get a win here, and Sheamus fine. Butch and Holland, not so much. But, it's just, when are the Bloodline going to actually be weak and lose and show, some chinks in the armor? I don't know. But all the spots of this match were good. The crowd was into it. Like Nas said earlier, the crowd was really only into the War Games matches and kind of ungrateful for getting a Finn Balor AJ Styles match and a pretty good triple threat match. But they were also into Seth specifically.
Yeah. Oh, they went crazy for his theme, his entrance, which who doesn't, but they did go crazy for it.
I would have never, ever pegged that to be like the next theme song to like get over the audience.
I actively didn't like it when he first got it.
Yeah, I only like it because of the crowd. They make it. Otherwise, I could barely tell the difference between him and Bailey's theme. They're the same theme. And even Roman's to an extent. Like, I know I'm in the minority on that one, but like, I'm like, bro, they all sound like they were made by like the same person.
Yep.
Barely tried to differentiate the three of them. And Bailey had it first, which is weird to think about. But
I like the idea of Roman and Seth having similar music.
Yeah, well, Seth is also, his music changes. They edit it slightly every like 8 months because it never.
Yep.
They realized they couldn't take his original music away. They had to incorporate it back in.
Yep.
Because everything else he had sounded too like.
I think they found a happy, nice middle ground.
Who loses first, the Roman or the Usos? It has to be the Usos.
Yeah, simply because I think they're going to lose on the same night, and I think it's just Roman's going to be in the main event.
Yeah, I think it has to be. I brought this up with Chad on when we did our predictions, but I was like, "Oh, how do you feel about the New Day's record being beaten?" And we both agreed that it was a bummer, and I don't think it needed to happen. It should have lasted for at least like a decade or two.
I agree.
Ended so soon, especially that. Look, I've given a lot of shit to Roman's reign, but the Usos' reign is even worse. Like, yeah, they defended it against the New Day recently, but they haven't had a feud since what, RK Bro? Like,
yeah, no, it's true. They've had title matches at the very least, but they've all been nothing matches.
Yeah. And they're also getting like further and further apart from each other.
Yeah, no, they really have. I think the Usos are a great tag team. I think what New Day did for tag team wrestling, though, is way more important, and that tag team title reign should have. Oh man, this sucks. Yeah. I didn't even really think about it, but yeah, no, it does suck.
Yeah. Well, anyway, on that bummer of a note,
right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, they need to say them. What happened?
Children of some ages, we curse too much.
It's true. I never marked this as kid friendly, but we appreciate you joining us this Saturday night, not Sunday. Thank you, WWE. It was a fun show. Danny and I had fun, or at least I think he did. I think he was having fun, at least with Pokemon. But we are always glad to have you with us. Thank you for being here. Have a good night.